Here we are with my good buddy David Marder. Known him since back in grade school. Say hey, David.
What up?
The main topic we're talking about today is Crowder's Mountain and the importance of land conservation. Here with WayBackBen. Just to have an early morning phone call, we decided just on the last minute just to have a nice little chat about the importance of land conservation and how it affected our local community where we grew up. And so I got David here with me, and he knows a lot about Crowders. You did your Eagle Scout project there, if I'm correct. Is that right? All right. So
Yep.
Can you tell me what that was?
So what I did was they got about 30 miles of trail there, little short trails, not much elevation change, some backpacking trails and a lot of hiking trails. And I put half-mile markers on all 30 miles of trail, so it was 60 half-mile markers. They were fiberglass little flat posts we drove into the ground, and they featured a engraved plastic plate that had the color and the shape of the trail blaze, the name of the trail, the distance on the trail, the elevation, and the coordinates, like latitude and longitude coordinates engraved on all 60 markers, and they were double-sided front and back.
So before y'all put those markers in,
on the mountain.
Before y'all did that, was there any type of marker system pre-existing that predated the new one you put in?
They were just blazes on the trees, where it's like a green triangle.
Y'all modernized
square,
it,
and you're
for
supposed
like
to be able to.
a
you're
modern.
supposed to be able to see one from the one. Yeah, you're supposed to be able to see one from where you're standing. From one, you're supposed to see the next one. And a lot of them were bad, but we just did the half-mile markers too, and we even replaced the blazes along the way as well. So we put a lot of blazes on the trees as well to increase.
Okay, there we go. Share screen. There you go. Can you see it?
There we go.
Cool.
It says it's starting. It's loading. Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Awesome. All right, so for those of you that don't know about Crowder's Mountain, it's located in Gaston County, North Carolina, and Cleveland County, North Carolina, with the Kings Pinnacle part that I'm showing you right here being located in Gastonian, North Carolina, so in the Gaston County part. It's still in the city limits of Gastonia. That's where the town line divides, and it goes out to, I believe, what starts there? Kings Mountain, is that right, David?
Yeah, all the way down to the state line.
Yep. Yeah, all the way down to the state line. So the mountain pretty much runs down to South Carolina. Not the mountain itself, but the ridges of it run down to about the South Carolina border. The ridges of Kings Mountain for sure get the closest. Kings Mountain borders North and South Carolina. And part of the state park is actually in South Carolina itself. And so I have David here shared on the screen. So I'm going to keep you kind of cornered up here like I got you. And then I want to just show a couple things about the mountain. So Crowder's Mountain, for those of you that don't know, is a monadnock, and that is basically an area of cliff that rises up around the countryside surrounding it. So around Crowder's Mountain is just hilly farmland, and now it's developing. It's very suburban and started urbanizing with the expansion of Charlotte and stuff that has now been growing in Gastonia. David, that you as well as me know from growing up there, we had a bunch of like fast food places and, like a bunch of like chain things growing up. So it was definitely suburban, but now it's definitely started to, I would say, more urbanized with the growth downtown and the revamping of the downtown area of Gastonia. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And it's just kind of interesting how the areas very, very close to the mountain haven't really modernized as you slowly drift away from the mountain, radially. So places like Charlotte, Gastonia, all those areas are, a little higher up, but the places still like really close to the mountain are still like how they were a long time ago. It's still older houses, not much modernization, no stores or anything like that. So it's kind of interesting how one mile away, a half a mall away, it's still how it is.
Picture right here, David. This is a photo that it shows from the top of Low Ray Mill, Gastonia. Shows the background. As you can see, Crowder's Mountain shadowing over the city, and that's just how close it is. These are the city lights of Gastonia right here. So as you can see, the Crowder's Mountain skyline right here, and the city lights are right there at it. And so these are neighborhoods and developments that have been pushed from what was originally the city here downtown, which West Gastonia honestly is older than a lot of the stuff in East Gastonia. David, can you see the picture I'm showing right here? Okay, so you see like this view right here, Low Ray Mill, as you very well know, is right in the center of what we would consider the definition of the city of Gastonia. So
that's gentrification at its finest.
Exactly, and that's a big thing. This mill is the definition of gentrification, if I had to say so myself, not to attack a local business or anything like that, but it's true because stuff like this used to be, for example, this was a textile mill in the early 1900s where one of the largest American, what you could say, mass shooting battle style revolts happened between the workers on strike and owners of the mill. And they actually had to bring in the National Guard to suppress the amount of power of the people who had unionized against the harsh labor. They had children working in this mill at the ages of 8 to 12 years old. I have a book actually with a lot of photos that would be cool to share as well of kids working in these textile mills in Gaston County at a very young age. So the reason I bring this up is this gentrification and push in Gastonia and how it relates to Crowder's Mountain is the city is already extremely close to the mountain. And the closer it gets, the more endangered the wildlife in the area around Crowder's Mountain State Park is going to become. They spot black bears and stuff like that around Crowder's Mountain still to this day. So we get a lot of white-tailed deer, rabbit, coyote, and like I just said, black bear around the base of Crowder's Mountain. And so that's becoming endangered just because of the encroaching city being built around Crowder's Mountain. Luckily, in the 1970s, early 1970s, it was 1973, I believe, Crowder's Mountain got the rights to become, or 1974. I should have had that date pulled up. David, do you know the exact date it became a state park?
I looked it up recently. It was either 71 or 74.
Okay, so the early 1970s, Crowder's Mountain became a state park. And the reason for that is because before they were extracting from the mountain, they were getting ore from the mountain. And there was a couple really important metals and other minerals that were being extracted from the mountain. David would know more about that. David, do you know exactly what was being mined out of the Crowder's Mountain mines?
Yeah, it was just an exploratory mine about 150 feet in length on the pinnacle side of the mountain, and they were only exploring for quartz and mica, or they were exploring for whatever, but they only found quartz and mica, and the people of the town protested and were in an uproar about it, so they actually stopped it while it was still in exploratory stage to preserve it and establish a state park.
Yeah, and that was really important because at that time it was becoming endangered, because if they would have kept it extracting from the mountain, you would have completely not only endangered the just geological features of the mountain that actually occur there, and it'd be a monadnock. And being a monadnock is unique because around it you can see the countryside is fairly flat, and then above it, where I'm pointing my finger right here, it rises out of nowhere up to 800 feet above the land around it. So the prominence of the mountain from the base is 800 feet. And I believe the elevation itself, David, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Crowder's Mountain, what's the elevation at the top of the mountain above sea level? I think
that the highest point I remember on the engraved markers was maybe 2000 or 1900 or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was
been 11 years ago that I made the
close to that. Something definitely close to 2000. So that's, aside from that, that's the point what I bring up that's interesting about Crowder's Mountain. That's always been interesting to me since I was a kid from a geological standpoint, is the fact that right here where I'm showing you on the mountain, this is just such a cool hike up because it plateaus up on this side right here, and then it goes up to the peak. And so you have two interesting areas to view the mountain from, and even a third if you choose to go to what's actually considered the real Crowder's Mountain State Park that No one really ever.
If you give me just a minute, Ben, I can give you a picture.
Yeah, you got a cool picture?
I can get you a picture real quick.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I got a shoot from my buddy.
Yeah, I've been up that one. That one's a
leg.
classic to go up. That one's a classic to go up. But while he pulls that up, I want to show you why I say that. So I have a tattoo of the mountain, the same feature right there on my arm. But it's interesting to me because the countryside around is fairly flat, other than the little bit of hilliness, because we are just in the Piedmont region. But then having that mountain that just comes up out of nowhere was such a cool feature. And I think of it like a lighthouse over the city, because you can go up to the top and you can see over the whole city, and everything's flat around you, so there's no obstruction of anything you can see. You can see the entire Charlotte skyline from Crowders. You can see so much. Here, I'll show you a cool picture while David's pulling that up. Another picture of Crowders.
I just sent you one.
Okay, cool. On my phone?
Yep.
Cool. So
yeah, that's all that I got.
I'm about to pull that up here in a second. I want to show y'all one more picture from the top of Crowders right here. These are here. So these are the cliffs. This is basically what a monadnock does. It has these cliffs that are the hardest layer of rock that has not eroded down. So there might have been some softer rock.
Yeah.
There's limestone, I believe, was made.
And what's incredibly interesting about the cliffs, honestly, is the fact that out of nowhere is this perfect cliff like this for rock climbing and the rock climbing community that it draws in. Because there's nothing anywhere.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing.
And then you just have this like 80-foot cliff. Yeah.
I'm glad David brought that up, because like that's a big part of the mountain in today's modern culture, as far as like just preserving the land in a healthy way and using the land in a symbiotic way that both protects the land and allows us to enjoy recreation in it. And such things as rock climbing and hiking are things that we did growing up, because as you can see, this is a great spot. Any climber would know that's a great spot to go climbing right there. And the point of me bringing that up is because if we realize the potential of these lands and realize the beauty and the enjoyment, and not the exploitation in the sense of taking from a place. We don't need to take anything. A big thing is LNT, leave no trace, something I try to get better on all the time, something I was taught growing up, and something that I need to practice every time, and something everyone should practice is leave no trace. That means basically when you go to a place, make it to where no one can tell you were there. Make it to where it looks exactly like it did when you got there. And so don't leave trash. If you see trash there, take it with you. Get it out of there. It shouldn't even be there. And so point being is that we want to preserve natural places like this, like Crowders Mountain, because of the fact that they're so beautiful and they can be used in such a great way to keep us healthy and keep the land healthy. And in that way, we keep the land healthy and the land keeps us healthy. And so it's a way for us to be able to move forward in a way whenever we do build or whenever we have to grow as a city, that we remember the land around us and the importance of it and the role that it plays in our local ecosystems and environments. Because any microorganisms being thrown off can completely throw off an ecosystem and an environment. And so I got David here because I really wanted to show y'all one more picture, and I want to show the picture that David just sent me. This is really cool. You can see Mount Mitchell from the top of Crowders Mountain. This is Mount Mitchell back here.
Wow.
From the top of King's Pinnacle. So Mount Mitchell is the highest peak east of the Mississippi at about, I think, 8,600 feet above sea level, something like that. I think it's the other way around, possibly. It might just be 6,800. Sorry, I'm so off on my elevations, but in the southeast, we don't really care too much about elevation because our mountains aren't that high as far as elevation above sea level. It's more about the cool land features. Here's another shot of you can see I put the Blue Ridge view from the Piedmont. So this is the top of King's Pinnacle, and you can see the Blue Ridge Mountains in the background. So if you were up here, this is probably like Boone or Banner Elk or something like that around that area. So that's just a really cool shot. And David, you sent me that picture. Let me pull that up. Hang on.
Yeah, I don't know how you can pull that up.
I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Hang on. Oh, nice. I have the same picture. Okay, cool. You sent me the cave, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. David, perfect. That's a perfect, because we'll kind of wrap things up after I talk about this, because this is the main point of the video. Okay, so David's picture he just sent me. Luckily, I do have this photo. Oh crap! I don't think I have it posted yet. Okay, so basically, it is the cave that is at Crowder's Mountain. It's a tunnel that goes back, like David said, about what is it, 150 feet into the mountain. I will post that picture at the end of the video so that you guys can see what that looks like. This is the super cool kind of local secret spot that people go to. That
undisclosed location that was given to me by the superintendent of the state park at the time after my 1,000-hour Eagle Scout project finished.
That's right.
Other people just stumbled upon it, but I was graced the information from
like
the
me.
superintendent.
I stumbled upon it. I personally stumbled upon it because of the fact that I do a little bit of exploring, back in the day, and so I found the coordinates and marked the coordinates for the mountains, and was able to share them with a friend recently to get to the spot. Point being is, I wanted to just bring this up because there's a couple things happening around the local community that are both going to be beneficial, but that we need to remember to keep in mind when it comes to moving forward as a community. Even though I live in Charleston, I still care about my hometown of Gastonia and want to make sure that the environment around there, the local parks, especially Crowder's Mountain being, I'm a bit biased about that one, but that one is a very, very, I would say, probably the most unique ecosystem as far as the different types of like micro ecosystems exist, microenvironments that exist within Gaston County, because it's just a mountain out of nowhere, and there's different types of trees on it.
Yeah, I'm on my 8th year living out of Gaston County, and I'm still like really interested in making sure that everything stays and preserved how it was when I left it, at least,
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up, David, because that's my main thing. Is just like that doesn't mean I'll never go home. I'm living away from Gaston County right now, but I still it will always be my home in the sense that I grew up there, and so it would always be nice, to make sure it stays beautiful for whoever lives there now, next, in the future, and so. I just, the main things that are happening right now is there's going to be a lot of development in the Kings Mountain area. Luckily, a local tribe that the mountain actually originally, a cool little bit of history about the mountain is the fact that it was a hunting dividing ground between the Cherokee and Catawba Indians. And it was a boundary between the two tribes. And there's now been approved a casino for the use of the Catawba Nation, who has had scarce government, federal and state level funding for a very long time. And so finally they'll be able to make some money, hopefully, with this new casino that's going to be built in Kings Mountain. Luckily, that won't be encroaching
I did hear about that.
The state park land of Crowder's Mountain or Kings Mountain. That'll just be on a different plot of land that was granted to the Catawba Nation, Catawba Indian Nation. But so that's one thing that's being developed, and so there'll probably be a lot of businesses developed around that. And so that's an important topic about that, is the fact that when these businesses get built, that could start encroaching on the state park and stuff like that. So we got to make sure once the things like, okay, so let me go and bring up the other point. The last point is the fact that there's also been approved. This one actually upsets me personally because of the fact that it's complete exploitation of the land. They are going to make they approve the land for the usage of a lithium mine. And if you Google the picture of a lithium mine, actually, that's the last thing I do want to share real quick on this conversation on my screen, is what a lithium mine looks like, for those of you that don't know, because this is absolutely absurd, and this would do major damage to our local ecosystem. David, can you see my screen?
Yep.
This lithium mine, that's all I look up. And look at the first picture you see. Okay, so this is basically like Grand Canyon sized quarries that are dug into the earth. This one has a neighborhood next to it, and then it's just a huge hole into the ground. And so this is what they have approved for a major plot of land in Kings Mountain to be done, is lithium to be mined out of the earth for the use of lithium batteries. And so, you know, it's good to go. It's good to definitely keep in mind alternative fuel, and we should always move forward towards getting away from fossil fuels and things like that. But when it comes to where we get our sources of energy outside of fossil fuels, we have to still be careful, because obviously something good like electric cars can have bad places to come from, like a lithium mine like this. Luckily, I believe Tesla just announced they're going to start doing lithium mining with water in a different way, and apparently it might have some type of lower damage on the ecosystem out of the Nevada desert. So we'll see how that.
Yeah, that's good, because I'm a huge Tesla fan. So that's really good.
Yeah, so they got a new method of extracting lithium, and they basically are telling all the companies that are extracting lithium, you're going to need to get it from this source, because this is the cleanest way to get lithium. As you can see in all these pictures, this is just terrible. This is not what we want to happen to Kings Mountain. Like, this is not what you want to see, David. Do you want to drive home from Boone, and this is what's on the right side of 321 or something? You know, you gotta see that.
Heck no.
Yeah. So let's make sure to preserve our land and remember how important it is. And I'm glad I got David here, a man who also cares about nature and the environment. He spent time himself, as he said, during his Eagle Scout project, devoted that towards Crowder's Mountain and the helping preserve the preservation and the enjoyment of that land in a healthy manner. So I want to wrap up just by saying thank you to David, and thank you for talking to us today and talk about the importance of land preservation and how cool Crowder's Mountain is.
I just wanted to talk about one of the lesser known sides of Crowder's is the Dixon School Road access. I feel like no one gives that like the love that it deserves compared to like the Linwood access, which I'm sure you know got that giant parking lot remodel recently. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, that I know, but I didn't know they remodeled it. I knew they had the gravel lot that went down. They got the gravel extension. They did something.
Yeah, if you go to the Linwood access.
Yeah, so Linwood.
If you go to Linwood access, where the backside and the tower trail is, it's a giant parking lot now, like paved parking lot. They took the gravel out, and it's one huge Walmart-sized parking lot.
So it's not gravel down the hill?
But it's still, no. And it's still that tiny little building with a bathroom on each side and a little shack in the center for a park ranger to be in. But the parking lot is literally 5 times the size now. But the Dixon School Road access still hasn't gotten the love. Like it's the newer one.
Now, me and Davey, we know about Dixon School Road. I want to say about that real quick. Back in the day, we used to go boulder at Dixon School Road. There's amazing boulders out there. It's a boulder field. So that's what I'm saying. Like the ridge of the mountain. So tell us the love about Dixon School Road real quick, David. Go on.
Yeah, you're not going to get the mountain views like you will at the 2 access points, the main park office and the Linwood access, but you just got some really pretty boulders and real cool things that you can see. If you're an avid climber or boulderer, that's always fun. But even if you're not, it's just very interesting how close to the road and how easy it is from the parking lot to get to. It's Dixon, Dixon.
It's Dix.
Yeah, and it's just these really cool giant boulders out of nowhere, and you can probably walk about a mile up the road.
So up the hill. This is how little known it is. So like it's literally like they just have real estate pictures when you look up Dixon School Road. But if you look up Dixon School Road, I think you can
Dixon
look up
School Road boulder access.
And it'll show us pictures of that.
Look up Dixon School Road boulder access.
Boulder. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's crazy because you're from the sky, you know, it's going to look like this. It's basically going to just look like the ridges of the mountain coming off. You're not going to see the boulders because they're kind of in the woods. So basically what they look like is this right here. So you've got big, humongous granite boulders that are just left over from the earth that's, you know, eroded around it. So around this granite, it makes
incredibly sharp, incredibly rough, fucks up your hands bad.
It's true. It will
But
cut your
it's
hands
fun.
bad. That shit is sharp because of the fact that, so on the areas there's moss, you may slip, and then you get that granite. It's just got such a steep cut through it, especially if you put your hand in a crack, it'll cut the crap out of you. But this is a fun kind of place to go because these boulders are huge out
Hey,
here.
look this up for me. I want to see if this picture comes up. Look up Eye of Zeus, Dixon School Road Boulders, and that's it.
Oh, that's a route, right? That's a bouldering route.
Yeah, and then Dixon School Road Boulders. I remember there was another one called Spit and Swallow. I haven't been there in a long time.
I've heard of the funny ass names. There's also like there's one called like the Devil's Eye, Diablo's Eye, or something like that, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Eye of Zeus.
Dixon School Road, yeah.
Dixon School
Boulders.
Road. Boulders, Kings Mountain. We're gonna get real specific because it's not very known.
No, don't even do Kings Mountain.
You sure?
It'll come up. That's
It's
specific
big
enough.
in the climbing community, so it'll definitely come up.
That's it.
So
That's
we
it.
got a bunch of cool pictures here of Dixon School Road boulders climbing and what it looks like. These humongous rocks out in the woods, huge boulders that are just like phenomenons really in nature that just exist out in the middle of the woods. And so they're really known for climbing because in a climbing community, that's the thing, because climbing is a pretty niche community. It's a pretty small community. And because, you know, people go climbing, you know, if they're at an event or something, it's something fun for everyone to be able to do. But unless you're like a climber who climbs at least on a weekly basis, you don't find out about like little spots like this and stuff because these are super hidden. You just wouldn't walk a half mile into the woods and find these unless you wanted to.
Yeah. Like the main hiking trails for the most part come right close to it, but it's really off trail. And a lot of people don't know about it. But then the people that do know about it, there's a good number of people, you know, you'll see people in there climbing, but most of the time you'll have the whole place to yourself. And it's very, very fun because it's so close to the road, so close to get to. Like I'm talking an eighth of a mile walk from the parking lot, and you're at a boulder that looks like that, the Eye of Zeus, maybe a quarter mile.
So before we wrap up, David, I just want to see if we can find the cave online, find a picture. Okay, so this is cool.
Yep, there you go.
Because this is a historic picture. So this is back when it had rails going through it. This is the picture David sent me that I'm going to include it in the end. And this is a picture, this is a place where I have gone, personally walked down there with a flashlight, touched the end of it, because it's obviously, it goes back about 150 feet and then it dead ends with rock. So they were extracting minerals and everything out of the mountain from here. You see these railways still coming out. That's a super cool old picture of it. So let's see if we can find another one. See, this one super cool because it's the Belmont Tunnel is what they're calling it, but it's in Gaston.
That one that's in the top left on mountainproject.com is a really good.
That's a good picture. Thank you. That's it. That's the best. That's what it looks like today.
Yeah,
so this is I don't even need to include the picture because this is it right here. This is the.
It is a little distorted. It's got the wide angle lens, so it is a little distorted, but that's a pretty good picture.
Davy's picture will be a little crispier. All right, so this right here is crazy because like from this point up, if you try and go up the mountain, it's super steep from this point up. And people don't know about this spot, but it's crazy. It goes back 150 feet into there, and it's just pitch black unless you take a light with you, and it's just super cool.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have drilled any further into the mine, it might not have been safe for visitors to come on it, you know, to this day in the future. You know, what are we, like 50, 60 years into its time being a state park now? If they would have kept drilling, it might not have been safe for people.
Oh, interesting. So do you think it would have not been safe? Here's a cool picture right here of it as well. This is what it looks like with a light on it.
Did my state park Eagle project.
Yeah, you see it's how the shadow just ends on the end of the wall down there. That's what it looks like. And it used to have probably tracks going down it to be able to move stuff out of it. So David, before we wrap up, I'm going to show a picture of just the climbing at Crowder's, and then I want to ask, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't know. Climbers are just known for leaving trash and stuff everywhere. So if the climbers can just clean up after themselves too, that'll help make them look better and preserve the mountain a little more.
See, that's a very good point. We got a lot of people coming in from different places, and Gastonia and Charlotte have always been a very welcoming community for anyone.
Bring up that one on the right with all the yellow on it.
Yeah, that shows a lot of routes. I was going to pull that up. So this is basically showing you different routes on David's Castle, the super famous climbing wall at Crowder's, and it shows that it's not the scale. So basically, the lines aren't going to show the exact height because it's a distorted perspective. But this right here is an 80-foot climb through the crack right here. And we got some little climbs just down here. It's an amazing spot to go for climbers because there's so much different variety. This is just one wall. There's so many different walls at Crowder's Mountain to choose from that it's become a huge part of the climbing community in North Carolina, and it's become known, Crowder's Mountain. It's a great fun thing for people to do, but there's a lot of people moving in from either out of the area or out of the state, and the Gastonians is a very welcoming place and they want to grow, but at the same time, anyone coming in, we would want to treat it as if it was a place they had gone since they were a kid and just wanted to keep it completely clean and not leave their trash behind. Everybody pick up, and that includes people from home. I know plenty of people from Gastonia that would not pick up their trash. Actually, there might be a large proportion of the fraction of people leaving trash from Gastonia, sadly. So guys, pick up your trash when you go to Crowder's Mountain, please. Just because it's such a beautiful place to go, there's no reason not to keep it preserved. So David, I want to thank you for coming on with me today and for talking and giving us a good point of view. And I really just want to thank you for all the insights since you've done work with the park rangers